Hey everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa. How are you guys doing today, wherever you're hailing from in the world? I hope you're ready for something a little bit scary, a little bit exciting, a little bit completely different. On my mic today is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
He is going to be reading your comments, which today is especially important because we're doing, and we haven't done this in a while, because it's such a madhouse, viewer-directed content.
Yes.
So the idea of this, if you're brand new here, if you found me through some other video and you're like, oh, she's live, what's this about? We do a thing called the Big Art Quest, where we look at things that might be traditionally considered fine art and make them a little bit more fun and a little more accessible for people, regardless of where they are on their art journey. And one of the things I get asked a lot is, where do you come up with your ideas? Mm-hmm. How do you increase imagination? You know, how do I take these ideas that I think I might be having in my head and get them on canvas and make those happen? And I've been thinking, how could I share this process? Because it's such a crazy process. It's a hot mess. It really is. But it's something every artist has to go through at some point. And maybe seeing me go through my, and let's really get it out on the table, crazy process might help you embrace the fact if your process isn't what you expected or imagined it to be. Mm-hmm. I think there's a thing where artists have expectations and then reality sets in and these things don't come together and then they flip out.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're like, wow, my expectations are here and reality is somewhere in this other space that it's not even like down or up. It's just somewhere unexpected. So we're going to go through this today, and we're working on fantasy character design for our faces, for portraiture. There were some questions you guys were asked in the Big Art Quest group on Facebook, on our website, TheArtSherpa.com, and here in the description. And those questions are going to help us design. I have no sketches. I have no designs. I have nothing prepped. This is really intense. I hope you're afraid for me. I'm scared for me. And we're going to create a character. Yeah. We're going to draw it out today. We're going to do some designs and talk back and forth. I'm going to take all that information, the finished sketch, going to turn it into a traceable, because here's a way that you can help design a character, get that imagination go, and not yet be drawing.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to draw this with me. Just help me design it, be part of our creative process. I'm still posting a traceable when it's all done.
Yep.
Then I'm going to design the painting. I'll be doing updates in the group of the process of the painting, like how I'm doing things, little elements, stuff, little sneak peeks. And we're going to meet back next Thursday and paint it together. Is this the craziest thing I've ever done?
This is pretty crazy. And you know what? We are already Sherpa. We're way over 300 people. Lots of people showing up. They're ready to do this.
I feel like one of those people who like tied a rope across two high buildings and I'm like, you want to see me fall? Like, there's a little, there's a little of that. No, I'm good. I got my coffee.
But gosh, thank you guys. We have such a big group of people here today. We're so happy to see you. Lots of new faces in the community with us today.
Do we?
Yeah. So hi, guys. Nice to
see you. Hey, new faces. Brand new people. We're kind of crazy all the time. So probably going to be that all day. It's just, it is. I love art. I take my craft seriously, but I just try not to get too serious about it because this is the space where I let all that internal ball that I get wound up in kind of go. Yeah. That's what I've been doing. First question.
Oh, well,
hopefully people have been pondering it and thinking about it. I'm going to talk to you about this. When you're designing a character, you're essentially world building, just like an author does. Actually, I thanks to a friend of mine, had the privilege of doing a few artist retreats where it was painters and authors. And one of the things that amazed me is how similar we are as creative beings in this aspect. Because authors are a completely different animal. They're quiet and they yell out numbers of words that they've written and they listen to totally different music playlists. It's not okay.
Right.
But where we're similar is world building. And in this, I have to think about, first, I like to think about what world am I creating? What story am I going to tell? What kind of emotions am I going to want to emote? What environments am I talking about? These types of questions start to percolate in my brain when I'm trying to create a new fantasy character. I'm going to be using the believe face. If you're brand new to the quest, you can go back to the beginning and learn how to do the believe face. If you're wanting to learn how to do faces, the believe face I kind of think of as my anchor in all things art. So whatever we do, I'm going to be anchoring off those basic architectures. So even though I'll be changing features and changing things up, those of you who've been questing with me will start to recognize some similar things you're very familiar with. Okay, so our first question was, what kind of environment are we talking about here? Where does our
I'm just gonna be
where do
honest.
they live? We're going to say they because we haven't determined anything about them yet.
They think it's unfair that you didn't give them a little dance, because we blew right past Sherpa.
I'll
and
dance.
They were like,
Will you bubble me, baby?
they were like,
Give me the bubble. You know I like it.
you
My
like the bubble dance.
My bubble. Texas snowflakes.
But we love to say hello and have a good time with you guys. Whenever we get 300 people in the room, we like to say we are Sherpa and like to celebrate and dance. So for all of our community who's out here and chat with us, we love to see you guys here. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us, and we love to celebrate that by giving you a little dance, a little saying thank you. And if you're at home and you can't get up and dance with us, and don't forget to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, we gotta make sure we all celebrate being here. So thank you. I love seeing you guys, and that's one of my favorite things to be able to say. So thank you.
I like
for
to give the
coming
meme or
out.
something. That's just for you guys.
So
I don't probably need to help out at all.
one of the first questions.
I'm rich, fertile design territory, I'm sure.
They were actually, one of the questions was, what is the paper you're going to use today behind you?
Okay,
Can
so
you
this
talk about
is
that?
just, yeah. This is not like crazy paper. I do like to use the tool for the job. If you've been with me for a while, you kind of know I'm kind of like, there's a tool for that job and I'm going to use it. This is drawing paper by Strathmore. I like Strathmore because I can just get it everywhere. This is the yellow pad. I think at one point it was brown pad. It's 70 pound. It's got a medium weight and it has enough tooth to nicely pull the graphite from my lead. It is not crazy intense expensive drawing paper, and it's not heavy weighted. This is just a good kind of pad to sort of work ideas out on. I don't actually necessarily personally enjoy butcher paper. It's so smooth. Sometimes I feel like I don't get to get all my crazy out the way I want. But if it's what you're working on, man, go with it. Because I've seen some people own butcher paper.
Yeah, and there's like all sorts of brown paper
Yeah.
wrapping supplies
So
and
just
things. Yeah,
I've
there's
seen
lots of-
people own paper bag.
Yeah.
Never feel like you have to have a material or media to do a thing. Just, I'm telling you what I'm using and why I'm using it, and so then you have that information in your brain bank, and that is all the pressure that you have. So
I don't know.
You know, keep it mellow.
I don't know about the ladies out there. If any of the Sherpettes have ever gone out to like a lunch where they have coloring on the tables.
Oh, I love that.
One of my favorite things is to go with cinnamon and to leave, and the whole table is colored, and they like don't want to throw it away because there's like flowers. There's an entire garden drawn out there.
I get the board. Do you get the board at the coloring table?
But you see other people doing that too, and I just love when you get to see that when people.
I bring my own art supplies, so it's like watercolored. It's not even, I'm like inking, and it's a whole problem. Okay, I have some pencils over here. This particular set I have in the description below. These are just my favorite Castell jumbo pencils, and they're in a variety of leads. I generally work 2B and 4B, but this particular set goes all the way up to 8B. And if you have a woodworker in your life and can talk them into doing one of these kits, they have a lathe, they turn pencils. John and I made these. These are some of the most fantastic drawing tools. You have to make them. They're not to buy them.
I'm sure on Etsy somebody's got them.
Maybe somebody on Etsy is doing it.
There's a woodworker, I'm there sure.
There's probably a workaround. And you can sharpen the lead specifically, and it's this big, heavy lead, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
I really, really like these, so these are nice tools to have around. But you know what? An HB school pencil still works. Technical pencil still works. So just don't let it limit you. Be fun. Got my little Sherpa in here. Got my coffee. That's what we're using today. And know that I'm not going to be like, trying to throw down over here, like going, my rendering skills. Yeah, I would prep before that. This is gonna be my honest, authentic hot mess style of let's get an idea on paper and figure out what we're gonna paint when I have to just make up an idea.
Well, there's been a lot of everyone's been thinking about fantasy forests and galaxy forests and mystical woods. There've been lots of interesting ideas
Is anything like really taking over the stream?
They,
If you guys are here on the replay, this is definitely not going to be like your fast-paced, edited down YouTube content.
Well, so there's been a lot of magic wands, fantasy, fairy, female.
Well, right now, all we want to stick with what I want you guys to think about is first, where do they live? What is it like? Galaxy Forest? That would be an environment.
We're definitely in some sort of magical
volcanic
forest.
lava bath. That's an environment. Because so try to think is like, are they forest? Are they aquatic? Are they desert?
So far, the overwhelming thing has been peaceful, beautiful, mystical forest.
Mystical forest it is. Let's take a minute with a pencil and be like, spell things wrong. Okay, so we got a mystical forest. All right. So when I'm thinking about a mystical forest, I'm thinking of beings in the mystical forest. I like to think about beings like high elves. I like to think about elemental earth beings. Mm-hmm. I like to think about personas. Mm-hmm. I like to think about inspiration from that type of environments. The animals that live there, the plants that grow there. So generally my first set of decisions is going to be like, you know, is this going to be more based on kind of an animal influence? Is this going to be more based on a botanical influence? Or is this going to be like the energetic spirit of the forest influence? Because there's really no limits to this. I don't know if you guys ever treat yourself to deviantart.com. This is not a paid promo. I just go there sometimes and go, ooh, people are so awesome.
Sue says some of the trees should have faces.
That's an environment thing.
And mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
Big mushrooms.
Mushrooms. Okay.
They big
well,
mushrooms.
We're focusing on a character,
okay.
But we could sit there and say, do we want a tree and mushroom feeling to our character?
Oh, now it's coming into the ethereal elf. There's an ethereal elf. That's yeah.
We've got time. It's just us today.
We're
not here for the YouTube, you know, anything. We're here for us.
Ooh,
it's just you and me hanging out, being creative. So don't feel pressure. Just throw your ideas out there.
Yeah, so
right?
There's some good ones out here. Ethereal dragons, lots of fairy requests, and fireflies. Oh, and it's picking up speed there with the idea of unicorns and yes, fireflies in agreement with mushrooms.
These are faces, right?
Well, no. I think they're in the end. They're definitely talking about.
Okay, well, I'll write these ideas down to see how they'd influence. So you guys are definitely thinking about fairies. You guys need to be thinking about our character, unicorn.
It's very exciting out here.
There's so much imagination in the room.
Character.
Let's definitely say mushrooms have come up a few times.
Yes. Now, what do we need to know about the character here?
So what we're trying to think about in this world, this being that lives here, right? So we're thinking about like what kind of being are they? Like and we're doing a portrait of this thing. So like, you know, is this a fairy? Is this like a dryad, kind of a druidic kind of creature? Is this a persona? Like, in other words, like a humanized like faun?
So the two overwhelming things.
You guys will get this. We're going to do this a couple times if you don't hate it.
They like the idea of a dragon-like creature or a fairy-like creature. Those are the two predominant leanings that we have here.
Okay, so a type of fairy.
A type of fairy.
Something dragon. Well, that tells us a lot, doesn't it? Fairies and dragons and those types of... By the way, just so you know, I can handle this. I used to do everybody's D&D characters, so I've done this. I've never done this live in front of, hundreds of strangers, but I've done this hanging with my friends where they were shouting out like, yeah, and high intelligence. Can you show that?
There's a good one here for a suggestion for old withered gnome skin.
Old withered gnome skin.
Maybe we could add some old. Maybe we could make our character be older.
Well, that's a question we can So this character, is this character young and youthful and beautiful? Is this character wise and mysterious and old? Ooh.
So
see, for you guys who haven't played D&D, you don't really know it, but you're doing a character sheet right now. We're dorking out together. Bum, bum, bum. It's so fun to be imaginative.
There's been a lot of thoughts of maybe the fairy should have dragon wings.
Yeah, so I'm some dragon influence.
Some
to
dragon
this.
influence to this fairy.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to have to, I mean, that's like coming in there, isn't
Okay,
it? Some
yeah.
dragon influence. So we've got some dragon influence. I put that here. So have we decided if this dragon influenced fairy is young?
Well, there's some
Maybe
teenager and young. Definitely some. A lot of people are thinking younger here.
Okay. So we're going to go for, I like to call these beauties,
Okay.
right? So this is when you're character designing, if you decide to take a character into youthfulness. Well, actually, there's two stages of that. You could do that into very youthful. So that's like sprite-like, you know, childlike, or, you know, like Gladriel from Lord of the Rings. She would be a beauty. She's definitely a force. Like when you look at her, she has all of her points in charisma. She rocked that. And some other abilities as well, I guess. She's pretty high level.
Now, just so you know,
Wouldn't want to roll up on her and smack her in the face. That would be a bad plan.
There's definitely some interest for an older character, too. And there's some interest for a gender-neutral character. So we may have to come back and revisit this a couple times.
Well, you know, we got time. We're going to talk about this. So that's another thing. Like, is your character a girl? You don't even want to say girl in character design. What I would say is kind of let all that go. I know it's such a topic nowadays, but for the purposes of art, let it go. Where you go, is this character leaning towards masculine, angular kind of features, feminized features? Because you could have a very feminized and yet male character.
Sure.
Right? So you kind of want to be like, is this character, because it kind of determines the lines on how you put them in. Is the character more masculine? Is the character more feminine? Or is the character, like, kind of hard to determine? Like a bunch of those characters in The Dark Crystal.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't really know. You kind of know, but you're not really sure. On a whole bunch of those characters, like, something's up.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And what you're not going to go ask, because that's a rude question.
You say, hi, what's your name? It's Jamie. It's like, thanks.
Exactly. And that's the thing that you as an artist get to safely play with in the privacy of your studio and be like, woohoo!
Yep.
You know, those kinds of things of how we express identity and those visual cues.
Oh, yeah,
that's
like
really
Pat.
fun.
Remember Pat?
Yeah. So more remember Pat.
The movie Pat?
Yeah.
The character
Watched
Pat?
MTV, all those segments. Awesome. See, that was an artist played with that.
Yeah.
If you guys watch Face Off, this is definitely, nobody signed me up for that show. That show just looks like a ball of stress. I mean, like all the time I'm like, you want to do that there. But I don't actually want to try to do it in 2 days while everyone's yelling. So, don't want to be on the show. I just like to backseat, observe the show. I like to be like the judges. What were you thinking there? Anyhow, so that's something to think about. So can you guys give me some ideas of what direction we want to take this character?
What I would say
feminized, masculinized, neutral?
There's a whole lot of split in here, but there's been a couple of here that I would say that like a feminized tomboy or gender neutral, I think seems to be the two kind of leanings that are going here.
I think with the dragon and fairy, I'm actually kind of interested if you guys may indulge me with feminized tomboy.
I think, yeah, there's been quite a few comments on that too. So I think
that's a fun space to play in posing and in elements that we include. By the way, it probably won't be a short paint next week, so just get ready for that. Because in character design, it's usually an involved thing, right? So we kind of know something about our character. Our character lives in a wooded environment, right? We know our character is kind of a dragon fairy kind of beings. They have elements of Draconia in them and elephants of the fairy kingdom in that. So that's a lot of fun to express. By the way, I'm a big student of the Frouds. So
Trish wants those smoky, steamy, sexy eyes.
Oh.
She wants the smoldering eyes.
Smoldering eyes is a suggestion. Well, that's real easy with the dragon, I got to tell you. That's almost a phone it in there.
A knowing smirk.
Smirky?
And Nicole says a knowing smirk. That's
all right. So we're starting to talk about some personality traits, aren't we? Right? Kind of like maybe a little rebellious is our character, right?
Yeah.
And has kind of like a smirking expression.
Yeah.
Right? Like a little bit like, yeah, you in what army? I'm a dragon fairy. Seriously, like check it. Like, +20 when I hit. Just check it. Just think about it for a minute. Fire breath. You don't know. All right, but you do know because you're designing. It's your world. The next thing I want you guys to think about is our character, what kind of job or purpose does our character have? Like, what's their role in their society, in their world? Are they loners? Are they maybe part of some type of royalty or ruling class? Because when you go into the ruling classes, then you've got all kinds of jewelry and embellishments and things that you can use to convey that. You know, maybe they're the undiscovered hero, you know, like from the Black Cauldron, you know. He's a pig keeper, but yet not. You know, think about it. Think about, like, the Jedi characters.
Oh, there's.
I'm just openly flying my dork flag today, guys.
So there's been a suggestion for a rebel like Mulan, mischievous. Let's see here. The chat's going by really fast today.
So this is a character that may have left. See, these are all things we can convey in our portrait. It's crazy, like, how much information one can convey in a portrait.
Ooh, impish. Maybe
impish. All right. So really what we have is somebody who is like... So if you start leaning into these things, what you then imply is that the rest of their species is not. Sometimes, right? Because if they're rebellious, that means that they're rebelling against something.
Sure.
Right? So they maybe this particular species is just like, they're like super, you know, Vulcan. Right? And she's like, nope, I'm all about the fire energy.
Yeah.
All right. And last question.
Okay.
This is important. Does our character have like a special ability besides being awesome fairy dragon? Is there just magical ability, fire breath, ice powers? Are they technological?
There's been a bunch of things that I saw that have come up here periodically through here that have come through.
I know I'm not even drawing yet. How far are we in the video?
Welcome
Welcome to character design. We have a really long conversation and then sketch a bunch. Super exciting. Watch it.
There was blowing bubbles. Being a bubble bender was another one. I saw that earlier.
A bubble bender. I just have to write that down for later.
A bubble bender.
That's funny for something you guys don't know is coming up.
I think what it was with the magical power of hair, you can bend bubbles.
SpongeBob is the original bubble bender. A whole bunch of the room just cracked up.
Bend some bubbles. I don't have any music on. I should probably turn some music on.
No, I have music in my head. I got my own tune. I dance to it.
There you go. Well, that's the end of the music. So anyway, I just turned my bubbles on for a minute so we can all have bubbles. But yeah, bubbles was a power. Blowing fire. Yes, controlling bubbles. Official Panda was like, yes, bubbles.
Maybe that's why they're ostracized from their community. Everybody else breathes fire. They're like, and I got bubble breath. It's kind of be let down if you were a dragon fairy, right? You'd be like, what?
Some ice magic is some fire bubbles maybe.
So all right, so those are good things. Like, is this like we're talking dragons, we're generally talking about elemental powers, right? So ice or fire kind of directions that we go.
Yeah, there's been predominantly a fire leaning in here.
Fire,
for sure.
all right. So we got a fire power.
Yeah.
This gives us like a lot to go with, right? When we're thinking about it. I don't know why I wrote it on my drawing pad, and I have bubbles all over it.
That's increasing the power.
There's going to be many sketches. So the first thing that we want to decide about our portrait is if it's going to be in a landscape positioning or portrait. I think for this one, I'm going to say, let's take this character because into kind of a portrait positioning. That way we have room for horns or anything, head pieces, anything that we want to add.
Tall wings.
Yeah, to convey, our space. And remember, we're doing portraits.
Portraits, yeah.
Doesn't mean we won't have... Because you guys are giving me a lot of room because you guys are like a dragon fairy. Doesn't mean that the fairy can't be like all Daenerys and have dragons. And have draconian elements to their design. See?
You invoke
the
D.
It's very exhausting to design things because you're like, wait. I think that's what happens to a lot of artists is like it just gets tiring. All the options just get overwhelming because you literally everything is yes. Yes, you can do anything. And you're like, yeah, but what thing? And you're like, anything. I don't know. Do something. And then you just end up paralyzed going, I can do all the things. I don't know what things. If you get this sharpener, the one thing I'd say that I like it a lot for these, but the thing I don't like is sometimes it pulls out easily. And then it makes shavings go everywhere. Everywhere. All right.
Everywhere.
So, well, nothing to do but a belief face, right?
Yeah. What?
So we need to think about our character and how we're going to do this portrait. And the kind of view. Now you're going to watch me be really slow and boring. So John's going to try to help me because this is my thinking phase.
This is where we look over and she goes, she's thinking. And
I'm
she's
thinking
gonna look at
some poses. I'm thinking about, like some ideas of like some positioning, like, if we want kind of a looking back kind of positioning.
Not exactly. I'm going to see if I can
In the
adjust this camera. I'm
portrait.
going to adjust this camera a little bit more.
By the way, this is not going to be like, oh, look at her throw down like incredible. I'm like just making some decisions about how I want to present our character in the space, right? So we could have a koi over the back look and connect kind of girl pearl earring style. Kind of an interesting thing. Really seriously, like probably definitely work some ears up there. You don't want to leave that. And you have to sort of decide how you're going to convey some of this space. So what you're seeing me do here is what I'm doing is I'm saying, all right, I'm going to be filling up this space. And I need to, portraits tend to be a little static. So you have to create gesture to make them interesting.
Ooh, they just doubled your workload. They were saying that in the reflection should be a dragon.
Of her eye?
Oh, I thought I saw. Maybe you suggested a mirror.
No.
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 I'm scrolling up. Someone's like, "Oh, you should have. There should be a reflection of a dragon behind them."
There could be. There could be.
They're just like, yes, you should do 3 portraits.
We're gonna do one. But if you guys like this, if you guys show up, attend, and do and paint along with me, I'll do more. So here's your end. If you guys show up en masse and tell all your friends how awesome this is, and totally participate in the pose and engage and do the painting, I'll do another one.
Well, we have
so we
over
can get
400
some ideas. So we've got this sort of looking back over the shoulder. And then there's this sort of like, I think another interesting space we could talk about with this character would be, that sort of hand space where you're very focal and have something maybe being focused on in our hand. I just like thinking things out, so it could be like a little dragon egg, right? With like a hand, and her hand could be a little dragon-like, and then you could have like these eyes, and maybe the egg is like hatching to like a dragon, and she's like pretty pleased about that. Let's give her a toothy grin. So what I'm doing is I'm in a sense I'm storyboarding. Right? Definitely. She's an elf, so she's going to have some ears working here. Right? So this is an idea. And what I'm talking about here is basically like, this is a classic kind of sci-fi. I don't know if you like a sci-fi art, but if you like ever pour over sci-fi art, this is like this classic sort of like, I have a thing in my hand, and I'm sharing that thing intimately with you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun because then you get to do like some real stuff there, and you get to work some face stuff, which is real interesting. So I'm kind of liking that because that covers a lot.
So I was catching up here on it. What they were suggesting is maybe that if there were a puddle of water, that you would see some reflection of a dragon in it, or maybe in the shadow of the image on the left, that it would be, it would imply some more dragon-like shadowy stuff. And I think that's what they were all. There was some of that.
So apparently, what we also need to do besides the big art quest about face
is about shadows.
Well, no, it looks like you guys wanted to design a whole landscape.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing that.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that, and we can do that too. That's a thing we can do, and and I like where your imagination is going. you know. A way that you can talk about some of the stuff that you're kind of discussing, right, would be to sit there and say, perhaps we are looking at, you know, a character, let's give her some horns from behind.
Oh, they love the idea of maleficent horns.
Right. And, you know, sitting here in maybe some sort of woods, and there's some type of magic mirror afoot right here. Guys, just so you know, when you get into this space, you're committing yourself to about a 4-hour paint next week. So think about that. How long do you want to hang with me?
Well, we'll start with a basic portrait. We'll work our way up to these more complex ones. You know,
Yeah, but then
there's
you
a
could be
lot
like-
of folks are interested in just getting some of the basics in here. They're really excited about this.
Well, now I'm on to something, though.
Oh, are you?
No, yep. See, now y'all started it. And this is what happens when you start with an artist. What if what we had was, right, a kind of like dragon here. I'm a dragon, right, in some cool woods, looking at a mirror, and this is where our girl was.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, they like the idea of a girl there.
Right? So we're dealing with like a dragon here in this space. Some type of vines and things going around. Right? And so we've got this sort of dragon little being, which is always, I think it's always fun to do dragons. Time consuming, but fun. Right? What I'm doing here, what you're seeing me sketching out is basic shapes in space.
Yeah, they don't think that 4 hours is a problem.
Okay. You know what? Big Art Quest is our time. So we got lots of like short little Q-tip videos. So we have time to just play together. So what we'd have here, I know this is hard to believe that this doodle makes any sense to anybody. But the idea would be that there'd be some sort of main focal dragon.
Yeah, I see him.
Right? Some type of thicket or
Yep.
space. And then we'd have a magic mirror, like right here, with the face of our character that we thought we were actually creating, talking to her friend.
I see.
They're having a little, oh my God, what are you up to? I don't know. This is like Tinder for fairies in the forest. I can't believe I just said that. All right, so she's there. And so this is that story that we're telling.
Uh-huh.
Right? And so when you're wondering how people kind of come up with ideas, this would be how they do that.
Yeah, so they're saying Azure Repose was 6 hours. So 4 is no problem.
I just didn't know if y'all thought that was a lot when we were there for like 6 I'm okay for 6 hours. That's just a work day for me. But I don't know how y'all are like, because I didn't see like a lot of dragons painted from that. So. But it'll make a cool coloring page. All right, so we kind of think I kind of think that's a cool idea.
All right. So you're going to expand on that?
I'm going to expand on that.
Okay.
Now, that might change the positioning, though, of my painting. I may change that to a landscape.
Uh-oh.
To make room for all my characters.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right? And I'm looking for circle shapes. Because
how big a circle?
I don't know. I think I want to do an oval, though.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, like, my little oval trick. Which I don't have my T-square.
Oh, I know where it's at.
Do you? All right, because I'll show you my oval trick. Because I'm just for jankety-jank on ovals. It's just not my jam. And so, you know, you think we'd be prepared. We're moving the studio around. You think we'd be prepared for anything we're doing. Okay, so I'm feeling like design-wise, where I'd want this is not necessarily in the rule of thirds, but I would want this more over here. By the way, this entire design we're doing today is subject to change at artist's will, because that's how creativity is. So I'm going to make a nice long line, and then I'm going to come here and make a much shorter cross line in the center. And this is going to let me just start to think about the shape of my round mirror. And how big I'm going to want this to be on my little 11 by 14. Right? And I have to think about what is holding that up. I do have erasers, but it really doesn't matter. And don't worry about however crazy or jacked up the sketch is, because what I'll be doing is I'll keep going through and refining and updating, and so you guys will be seeing it as it's happening even after the show at the Big Art Quest, Facebook, and on the website is where that'll be. So gesture-wise, you know, I want to have, you know, like this little dragon sort of relaxing, like this particular one is. So I'm going to create that sort of basic shape that I liked earlier. Do like almost an arabesque here. So see how that's sort of like a little S? That gives me some serpentine stuff to work with when I'm creating my dragon character. We talked about this before in doing dragons. Are dragons, you know, predatory or are they companion-based? Because we're going to have a pair that are friends, I'm probably going to go in with the companion kind of, actually, and also because I was just talking about Pern this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Companion-based dragon. So I'm going to use my feeling of bovine creatures and reptiles to create my shaping. My shaping.
They like the idea of a floating portal. Ooh,
so I'm going to just make sure that I'm giving this being a nice line, because we'd have a nice line, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to foreshorten a little. You know how like cats and things like to tuck their paws, so I'm thinking about that here. The idea of a sort of very cozy tucked paw. When I go to do references and everything to take this into a further direction, I'll be looking at references, and this is real similar, like if you think of your favorite animations when they're doing designs, you'll look at a bunch of reference animals to make up your mind about how things might be anatomically. Right? And so that's sort of like what you'd be doing. You know, and we know we're going to want to have some type of tail. So I think sometimes the idea is that when you're trying to come up with something for a painting, and it'll freak y'all out how refined this all eventually gets. I think what happens to people is that they feel like they've got to really draw it out perfectly instead of laying it out loosely. Because if it doesn't work out of focus and loose, it's not going to work no matter how much detail you put in it. If the balance of the piece is off in some fundamental way, right, then I think that's kind of like a little claw paw here.
Claw paw.
Claw paw, we'll have to see how that goes. Claw paw. If it's not going to work when it's loose, it won't work as you tighten it up and make, you know, more decisions. All right, so we've got this little guy here. And what is our ground like? Do we want to have wings? We could have some wings. Like you do. Some wings. Wings are always nice because they create a good line that you can play with in your space. And then I think definitely we're going to want to have like some sort of branches and brambles happening all around. The only other thing that we could have done is cave, but I think forest is like really good here. So we're going to try to figure out like, you know, what kind of maybe sleeping tree here.
They like the idea of a tree with a face too, remember?
Yeah.
So that
see, I listen to you guys, believe it or not. Well, let's go like this. Like maybe he's kind of a grumpy tree. Oh, I'm so mad. I'm right here. So annoying. Pointy nose. Some lip. Little fang. I don't know. So you're just thinking about it and feel like, that you can be this loose and messy and then continue to resolve and talk about those things that are important to you. Because this tree, believe it or not, needs its own consideration. And I need to figure out how the tail and the tree relate. Like the tail probably will end up wrapping around the tree in some way. Like they buddies and stuff, right? And so here we've got to put her here. And we got to think about like, oh, why not? We're getting complicated anyways.
What do we have to think about?
Huh?
You keep saying we have to think about,
I know.
What do
Well,
we
I'm
think
thinking about what's her interest in the story, right? So think of this as like the elf cell phone, right?
Yep.
And I'm gonna probably talon out her fingers. This is not. Don't worry. I'll explain. Did I make this too complicated?
Did the Sherpa fall down a complicated hole of crazy?
I did. And you guys could back me out of it. We're experimenting right now, right?
So the dragon is calling her elven psychologist friend to talk about their recent breakup.
No, it looks like what I'm thinking I'm going to do is some type of...
Oh, they're showing you're taking all of the most complicated elements of all of the things that you've
I,
talked about.
I totally understand that I am. You know what? I get that that's happened here.
That's you're like, this is a portrait.
We have left the belief face to some sort of relegated moment. Lisa is somewhere in the room screaming, "What is going on?"
They all think it's funny that you made it complicated. They're like, we made it complicated.
Right? She should have like some sort of Harley Quinn kind of. All right, so it's taking a weird turn here. Long neck, because we elfish. When we're elfish, we have a long neck. So it used to be so funny when I would do character design for friends, because this is sort of like, I don't know, they thought they were going to get a police sketch artist, and they got me. You remember when we used to do this?
Yeah.
They would be like, no, like more of brown. I'm like, yeah, I got it. I'm like, brown. They're like, no. And I'm like, I'm not a police sketch artist. You're going to have to give me a minute to lay some stuff out. And then I bring it back stuff, and they're like, how did that happen? Did you really do it? I'm like, yes, I really did. My process is my process. It's my process.
Right.
My process. So, I didn't go into forensic art for a reason.
But that's okay. You're working. You refine through layers.
I refine through layers. So generally, what I do when I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing is I start thinking about the types of, well, like I talked about the stories that I want to tell, and how I want to tell them. I don't know. There's your nose. And here we go. Here we go. And just start building how I want to. What, definitely. No, like this. So you're like, what is telling the story that I want to tell, right?
So is she holding a dragon's egg?
Yeah, I think she's going to be holding a dragon's egg.
Oh, yeah, they think that's pretty cool.
Right? So is what I'm thinking we're going to do is like a dragon's egg. I probably actually will drop that down.
Lower it a little?
I'll lower it to here. See, I'm like going over what I just drew. I'm going to actually lower it to here. Right? And just have the hand a little bit. Oh! Wait.
Wait.
Break
it down.
I'm going to do the folds of fabric and the jewelry and stuff with just the eyes.
Ooh.
Right? And then the hand. I don't know if I'm going to hint at the hand. So that and the egg is going to be a lot of fun
Okay.
for me. Near, 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 near. I'm gonna do it.
So
like
is this a
that.
ransom call then?
It might be.
Or maybe this is a could it be mom showing dad?
That's a very strange relationship, but I don't like to judge. I don't like to judge my drawings on their life choices that I made for them.
We don't know what shape-shifting powers they have.
All right. I think this one is going to be like one of these big-eyed ones. This dragon, all eyes.
All okay.
Like super eye. Be like, hey, what are you doing with my egg there? She'd be like, it's your egg. Give me a wish. Send me to the underworld. I kidnapped it. And he's like, what? You're an elf that protects dragons. That's crazy. Don't do that.
Don't you know what those things do when they hatch? They eat everything.
So, yeah.
Set everything on fire. Are you sure this is not like, it's not really as much as a ransom note as a like, I'm sorry for your living room call.
I'm going to do kind of a brow, I think, structure here.
Those of us who have teenage kids know what I'm talking about. You should just keep them over there for a while. Pick them up when they're 30.
So some things we're going to know about this, I would say going forward, is that he's going to probably be green.
Yep.
Because of his forest nature. This is going to have to be way more bonsai. All right, we'll put some things back here. I have to figure out how we're going to anchor my mirror into the world. All right. I'm thinking definitely fire in the eyes. That's fun.
Now,
by the way.
For our next meetup, you're going to have sketched this all out.
Yep.
And you'll have a traceable for everyone.
For the next thing that they're going to see, if they go join the group or go to the website, what I'm going to do in this experiment of weirdness and awkwardness is I'm going to sit down with this and make about 25 gazillion sketches and plan this piece out that you guys help me totally design. And then I'm going to post the sketches, the finished sketch, and the traceable.
Now, they can go out. Now, this is really great because there's a lot of folks here in chat. We've had like over 400 people here this entire time. So
you're going to paint this with me, right? Swear,
yeah.
Promise, swear.
Lots of them are painting with us.
Okay.
So and
got to do it with me, even if it's long. You got to hang in.
So they come in and leave comments in the below once this goes up there, and so we can go back. Anyone who's seeing this on replay,
yes,
leave comments, and then we're going to go back in and we'll look at those too.
Yeah, yeah. If there's like a whole thing. If we can make this work, this is something we'll do a little bit.
Yeah, we would love to see this work. We want to try this out with you guys. So tell us what you think, and we're going to try to see what we can do.
All right? Do we like it? Mm-hmm. This kind of like, hopefully this is what y'all are imagining. Probably not. I'm kind of like trying to decide her, like, you know. Also, I got to make sure that she fits in here, and we can really. I want to make sure I want her ears to be somehow like these wings, which I haven't decided if I'm going to feather or not.
They're definitely painting with us. They're like, yes, sign us up, pinky promise, we're in.
I think I am going to feather these.
You got a legitimate pinky promise.
I haven't done a feathered one, so I'm like, some feathers might be nice.
Feathers.
Well, because then you can have some feather texture. Right? And like even the tail can have a couple little feathers.
See, I like Ifrit wings.
Huh?
I like the Ifrit wings, the feathered wings.
You do?
Yeah.
They're fun to do. They have some whole sort of elements in the space. And then I need to sit there and be like, this obviously needs a branch. Oh, maybe the tree is like holding it. We've done that with the moon. Mm-hmm. All right, tree, this is your job.
The tree's holding.
You are the ancient tree of grumptasticness.
Holding the picture?
Yeah.
The
Right? She's going to be like, What? You see me? That's cool. Don't worry about it. Hey, Batman. Tooth. Now they're pointed teeth.
they say feathers are less scary.
Are they? Okay, cool. Well, and also I think, so I'm thinking about this wooden environment.
Yep.
And I'm thinking about, here is this, you know, these two magical beings, right? Having this, I love these sort of like, you're a viewer to a really unexpected rendezvous.
A little unexpected conversation.
This is kind of like why it was a very popular sort of like, make my character, because like, this is the kind of crazy you get. So, right, because you got to really capture who they are. Do you remember the sparrow? And the psionic?
Yeah.
Okay, so the idea is that we're going to try to make this feel, right? Like that you've come up on this secret little rendezvous. I'm going to focus my eye forward more, which just means I'm going to rock that eye more forward into the orb. See, isn't it crazy how it comes together super fast?
Yeah.
I love this. And I'm going to just be like, no, you need to be like more bony here. Like here. But I don't know if I want to have like ridges all the way up the nose. So I'm going to be like, oh, and maybe we need a little kind of like smoke coming out of something. Like
definitely.
Like, what? Because you know, things really like it when you mess with their young. And I have to figure out like how I want to do the egg. So that's something, as I'm putting up the sketches, I want you guys to think about the egg.
Yes.
Do you want this egg to be leathery? Do you want this egg to be kind of like a Japanese beetle, all crazy metallic?
Or
I mean, if we're there all day anyways. Like,
jewel
maybe it's
encrusted?
2 episodes. I don't know. Huh?
Maybe it's jewel encrusted.
Jeweled. I mean, we're sort of in it now, so...
Well, gosh, and leave those in the comments below so that we're going to be able to see that, because you know we're approaching our an hour here, so I think we've kind of got our
idea out.
idea
And
out
it may
there.
be, see, this is different from expectation. So hopefully seeing me do this mess where I'm like, let me think out this idea, helps you understand that your goal isn't to just sit down with your pencil if it's not your style to render like that.
Yeah.
Right? If that's not your style, if you're not a police sketch artist, which is a really cool skill, and if you are, super awesome. But if that's not your thing, right, and you're not in, you know, a graphic kind of comic novel industry, that may not be the way you process out your idea. Doesn't mean, I used to think it did, but it doesn't mean that you can't get there. So if your ideas come together differently, like if you cut out magazine pictures and decoupage them together to do your design, that's viable.
Yes.
Right? Your process is your process. That is the most awesome thing about art. Your process is your process. My process is my process. It doesn't really matter how we get to the result. It's can we get the bubbles? Can we get the imagination to spark? And can we get from what's in here, the craziness in here, to the people out there? That's our only job.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest episode I've ever done. I'm really glad you guys are putting up with me. We'll be back to regular painting tutorials really soon. But come see me in the groups
love
and
this.
stuff.
This is great. Everyone's really excited to see this. And
Okay, cool.
They're looking forward to see. So you're gonna have a traceable up on the website that they can go and they can get that traceable, so that next week we're gonna start painting this in.
Updates will be on the website. Updates will be on the Big Art Quest Facebook group. Just go by and check it out and tell me what y'all are thinking.
Yeah.
See you really soon. And then Thursday for the rest of this. We paint it in. It'd be crazy. All right, bye.
Hi guys, we'll see you later.
This is the weirdest thing I've ever done. Like, seriously. So weird.